In this lesson, we're going to look at drawing distance time graphs, which can be a bit tricky at times. So let's start off with some things to look out for. First thing, use appropriate scale for the time and the distance. Look at how far the journey is overall to start, and then do the kind of y-axis accordingly. It's sometimes good to go up in tens if it's quite a big distance, or even more. If it's a short distance, maybe fives. What's really good is to go up along the way in hours, but make 4 boxes for 1 hour, because that allows you to go half an hour and 15 minutes and things like that. So every hour to be 4 boxes. Use the formula when necessary to work out timings of parts of the journey. Sometimes they don't give you how long a part took. They might give you the speed and the distance, but it doesn't tell you how long. You need to use your formula to do that. A couple of things to remember in this bottom point. Horizontal lines mean you've stopped, and lines going back down the way means you're returning back to where you came from, basically. So let's have a look at this. So the first one I'm going to look at is here. So I set off at 8 o'clock and travelled 90 kilometres. So that's going to tell me how much I need in my y-axis, if you like. So I need at least 90. So I went up to 100 here and I went up in tens. I've also went along in hours here, and I've put 4 boxes for 1 hour just to set it out correctly. So I set off at 8 o'clock and travelled 90 kilometres. There's nothing much I can take from that at the moment to put in the graph. But this bit's got some stuff. My average speed was 60 kilometres per hour for the first 30 kilometres. So I'm going to focus in on that. I know I travelled 30 kilometres, but I don't really know how long it took. This is where you got to use your formula. Time equals distance over speed. So there's your distance, there's your speed. So that works out to be, you can try your calculator as 0.5 or half an hour. So I know the first 30 kilometres took half an hour. I'll just check that's blue, that's great. Right, so I want to draw that on the graph. So I know the first half hour, which is 2 boxes, and I went 30 kilometres. So I'm just checking that's at 30, and that's half an hour. Right, let's look at the next bit. Then I stopped for a comfort break for 30 minutes. So they must not have been travelling at all for the next 30 minutes. So that'd be a flat line for 30 minutes. So that's from here to here. There from 8:30 till 9 o'clock. Let's look at the last bit. I set off again and reached my destination at 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock here, they must have went all the way to the 90 kilometres. So there's your 90 kilometres. Join that up to the starting point there. Okay, so that's your journey. Travelled a distance 30 kilometres and it took half an hour. Rested for half an hour and then finished the journey to 90 kilometres by 10 o'clock. Right, let's look at one more because these are quite tricky. So let's look at this one. So I set off at 8 o'clock and travelled 80 kilometres at 40 kilometres per hour. I then stopped to look at some cows for 15 minutes. I set off again for 20 kilometres and arrived at 11 AM. I didn't like my destination and came straight home at an average speed of 100 kilometres per hour. Right, okay, let's look at this then. So I set off at 8 o'clock, travelled 80 kilometres at 40 kilometres per hour. So this is a case of we need to know how long that 80 kilometres took. So time equals distance over speed. The distance is 80, speed's 40, so that takes 2 hours to go 80 kilometres. So let's put that on the graph. So 80 kilometres in 2 hours. So there's 80, and 2 hours, that would take it all the way to 10 o'clock. Okay, so we're at 10 o'clock and we've travelled at 80 kilometres. I then stopped to look at some cows for 15 minutes. Now, 1 box is 15 minutes, so that's a stopping. 1 box, 15 minutes. What's happening now? I set off again for 20 kilometres and arrived at 11 AM. So must have went 20 from 80, so that's all the way up to 100, and arrived at 11 o'clock. So that would be up here, wouldn't it? I've arrived at 11 o'clock. Right, so I'm nearly finished. I didn't like my destination, came straight home at an average speed of 100 kilometres per hour. Now the home journey is 100 kilometres, so it takes 1 hour to do that, I guess. So 100 kilometres per hour would take you right the way back. Okay, have a go yourself. Again, these are quite tricky. You may have to look at these lessons again, but have a shot.